Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and continue.
Yes, round of applause. So I think about putting that into context for the children of today, because there's a lot of inactivity now with children when it comes to devices and phones and
The thumbs are growing, the thumbs
yes, yeah, the thumbs are getting a good workout, which
thumbs
is
up,
thumbs up, yeah, or thumbs down. Not good for children. But when we think about the narcissistic nature of social media, for example, and the distraction, because it's distracting them from honouring their feelings, being aware of how they feel, because they're more concerned about getting shares, comments and likes. And it's distracting them from the nature of who they are.
Share if you like this video, comment down below what you think about this video, and like. And subscribe. I mean, what you says is true, at the same time I say it's false. If I remember, I will answer why all of that is whenever it comes to a nice pausing point.
How do we inspire our children to explore the limitless nature of themselves?
Okay, so I guess this is a perfect time to pause real quick. Yes, social media is a distraction. There's a lot of distractions in the world. But the thing is, it's up to us as people, parents, I suppose, up to the parents, to monitor their kids, to have, restrictions or time limits or something. It's good that they need to know how to use these things, because maybe social media would be part of their future lives. But at the same time, they need to do other things as well, just in case that doesn't happen, and to be more active and healthy and whatnot in life. So, a lot, what I see is there tends to be a lot of people who wish for government or someone else to take responsibility for their responsibility. Like, for example, if say I have this family, or let me just use, I guess, me as an example. Say I have a family with a child, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, our child is always on social media. We need to get the government to stop social media or to restrict social media. And instead of me going in there saying, hey, don't restricting the phone access, taking away the phone, it's like, you had it for an hour today, that's enough for today. Or to restrict what they access on those phones. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's hard, but I mean, that's what being a parent is. If you choose to be a parent, you have responsibilities. One of the biggest responsibilities is your children or child. So you kind of have to do it. You have to be responsible. And a lot of parents today are not responsible. They just have babies, and well, let them be, and this is what we get in society today.
This is a responsibility those of you who choose to become parents have.
I didn't read that part, I swear. I didn't realize he was going to say that.
A child means it's not just a reproductive job. You're manufacturing the next generation of people. What kind of people will live on this planet is determined by you now. Very important responsibility. Hello?
Yes.
What sort of people will populate this world in the coming generation is determined by the mothers and fathers of today. When this is the case, it should not be taken lightly. And of course, you know that human beings are not an endangered species. Hello? Yes or no? You know that they're not, or you…
Yes, they are not.
We are not an endangered species. So if you are a tigress, I would say, please, you must reproduce because, there is a danger to the species.
Yes.
We have multiplied manifold. Beginning of 20th century, just a little over 100 years ago, we were just 1.6 billion people. Today we're 8.4 billion people. Lot of reproduction. It's not just excessive reproduction, it is just that people are living longer, which is wonderful. So population has multiplied. Essentially, we took charge of death. We postponed our death. The average life expectancy of a human being at the beginning of 20th century was 48 years. Today, it's 70 plus in most places. So when you postpone your death, you should also have postponed your birth?
Ooh. I'll get to that. I was just thinking about postponing. I think I was supposed to die next week, but I think I'll postpone that for maybe the week after. Whenever he says that, it just makes me think of someone's like, I don't know. I think I'm going to be busy next week, so I'm going to have to postpone my death real quick. But postpone your birth, it's not quite like that, Sadhguru. Again, this is something that was surprising to me, and even when I heard it from my cousin, which was studying to be a nurse, she told me that, women have an expiration date in a sense. And obviously it's different for everyone. And it's just that I think she told me once they get to age of 30, once women get to the age of 35, it becomes difficult and challenging and complicated when they try to have babies because there's just complication. It's just nature. It's not to say that it can't happen. I mean, with modern medicine, it's becoming more possible or more successful, should I say. But at the same time, it's up to you whether you want to risk taking that chance or you want to do it at the best time to have babies. So generally speaking, they say, I don't know when the best age is, honestly. I've not heard that. I've always heard just the when's the risky part. I've heard it go down to 25, which is crazy. Which is, oh my gosh, I'd rather have a scientist tell me. It's like, well, the earliest starting issues we have that's pretty consistent is age of 30. And while mind you, that's only 0.1%, but it's still an elevation. And then at 35, it's maybe 10% or I don't know, 50%. I don't know. When they start having issues. But anyways, I've always heard the kind of issue part towards the end, but not necessarily when's the best time to have it. I don't know when's the female body is the most optimal time to I guess pop out babies. But so you can't really postpone birth. You can't let's just say adulthood. 18 is the ripe age for this example, for childbearing and whatnot, to have the healthiest, best, less disease, less trouble, less whatever, all the bad stuff, less. 18. And then we double that to 36. Well, the evolution doesn't really say, oh, they live longer, let's go ahead and postpone when things go bad kind of deal. I do wonder if it will eventually, where it will also postpone, I guess, what do you call it? I forget what it's called for women, where I guess they kind of evacuate their eggs. I don't know what the right way to say that, but they don't have the monthly cycle anymore, I believe. Maybe evolutionary, if we continue to live longer, that will be postponed, and that this little expire thing will also be postponed. I don't know, but it's hard to say you postpone stuff when nature is going to win no matter what, and whatever nature says, that kind of goes.
But we didn't do that, so we multiplied literally almost 5 times over in a little over a century. Well, human footprint also has increased in its size, individual human footprint. What a human being would consume 100 years ago and what we are consuming is massively different. Hello?
Yes.
See, just look at this. What your grandparents had in terms of clothes, in terms of, automobile or homes or whatever, I think what you have today is at least 20 times over or 25 times over. Yes or no? So our consumption has increased and our population has increased. Everybody is trying to control human aspirations. You cannot control human aspiration. People drive an electric car to the office, on the weekend they take out a beast.
Yeah.
People are doing this everywhere. So, controlling human aspiration is very difficult. But bringing down human population consciously is very much possible. But nobody wants to attempt this because everybody thinks if I don't reproduce, his population, his kind will go up. So my kind should go up. Whether it's in terms of race or religion or nationality, we are thinking on these terms. So we are yet to be sensible enough to find a solution. All of us can multiply like crazy and then no place to live. kind of situation we can create. We're heading for that. All population projections show that somewhere around 2053, the human living conditions will become so bad. It is expected about 12% of the population may commit suicide. Yes.
How many? 20?
12%.
12%.
Yes, that's a billion.
Yeah. Wow.
Right now, the suicide rates in every country is going up. In Australia, every day 9 people commit suicide.
7 of the men.
Does it make you happy? What are the Australian women doing?
Yeah. Driving our men crazy, obviously.
So in India, 38 people commit suicide every day. In every hour, more than one, all right?
Oh my gosh, he said every day. I thought like a year. I don't know why I thought a year. Hold on, let me go back to what he said. Oh, every day. Jeez. It makes me think, like, there's this saying, 22, I believe, in the U.S. I believe a lot of military people understand the meaning of that, which is, I believe, 22 military people commit suicide as well every day. It's hard to believe that, 22, but our population keeps going up. Like, do we have more than 22 babies every year? I mean, I don't know. I don't keep track of this stuff, It's not something that I like, oh, let me see what the baby population is, It's just that, wasn't my interest, but... And then you see Sadhguru talking about 38 in India, but mind you, this 22 is just strictly military personnel, not the general population of America. So I could only imagine perhaps America may have a higher rate. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of sad. I'm wondering, the cause of all of this.
Every day. In every hour, more than one, all right? In United States, 18 people commit suicide every day.
18.
In most affluent countries, in Japan,
Probably
in
higher.
2020 when pandemic was raging, more people committed suicide than the number of people who died of COVID. So you don't really need any disease or a flood or a fire or anything, people will do it by themselves. And that number is rising year on year. It is expected by 2050 plus, up to 12% could commit suicide because it becomes so horrible to live here. And above all, mental issues are growing in so many different ways.
Very much mental health issues for sure.
So unless we do something right now that we bring people to learn to handle themselves consciously, if they continue this impulsive and compulsive reactions to life around them, they becoming mentally ill is very much possible. See, right now about 22% of the US population is under psychiatric medication. Recently, the Surgeon General in United States announced that 1 in 2 Americans is feeling lonely. If 2 of you are sitting here, 1 of you is feeling lonely, what's happening to the other guy? Loneliness is the incubation period for mental illness. Once you start feeling lonely, you are cooking it up. It's just a question of time, just a question of life situations arranging themselves in a certain way. If they become little formidable, you are going towards mental illness. Once you go towards mental illness, suicide is just one more extra step.
Real quick with that one. So, loneliness, don't get me wrong, like, there's a couple of different loneliness out there. There's significant other loneliness, there's loneliness of, like, just no one, like, no friends, no family to certain degrees. Well, let's just say no friends first. Then the next one would be no friends or families or significant other, like getting worse and worse. Um, the one thing I will say, and I hope this is true, this is something I'm making up myself here, that find a hobby that you like to do and find a place that does that hobby. At least you'll have friends, and that will bring it down to where if you don't have family, at least you have friends. If you don't have a significant other, at least you have friends to have fun with, to enjoy time in this life. Um, it's not to say that that's the cure all to everything, of course not, but I hope that it will help majority of people that who are feeling lonely. Hobby is great to have. Hopefully you have time to do that. Um, Online communities, I think in-person hobbies a lot better. I have a hobby that I do, and I go every week to go do that hobby.
See, the question is not whether somebody died or not. People anyway die, all right? But what they went through as life. If a man or a woman, a human being
Mostly men.
yeah, she seems to be enjoying it.
Not really. I'm actually going to a funeral tomorrow from a friend
that speaks badly of the woman in the country.
No, not really. It speaks badly of the men because we need to break that cycle. What could we do to break the cycle? Why do men feel like they
No,
they
I'm
can't
saying maybe
address
the ladies are driving them in that direction.
I'm not responsible for that. You talk of responsibility.
In India, there is a law called abatement of suicide. So you said something to freak somebody and they went and committed suicide, you could go to prison for 3 years.
Oh, really?
Yes, abatement of suicide. So don't say this in India, okay?
Okay.
Is that true? That is not good. I mean, again, I kind of agree with her to certain degrees, but at the same time, people do need to take responsibility for their actions. Women or men could be completely and utterly terrible, but what you do in your life, like Sadhguru talks about earlier, is 100% you. What you do with your life is 100% you and no one else, no matter what.
So, the important thing is, see, somebody committed suicide means somebody died, whatever means. Death is not the problem. See, the basic instinct of life is, you want to preserve this. It's natural, whether you're an ant or a human being. This life is the most precious thing, but you want to take it. You know how much suffering should happen? Nobody can gauge this. What happens in their mind for those few days or hours or whatever it takes for them to make the decision, that is terrible. The human suffering, man or woman, okay, it's still terrible, all right?
Yes, it is. Glad we agree on that.
So, that much human suffering we manufacture where you want to take your own life. The worst thing is, in 2022, 18,600 children committed suicide in India, below 18 years of age. Of this, 7,600 children were below 15 years of age.
Wow.
A child, 12, 13, 14-year-old child wants to commit suicide. What are we doing? Can't we see we are doing something fundamentally wrong? A child is an exuberant piece of life. 12-year-old, 13-year-old has to commit suicide means, do we not understand that we are doing everything wrong? The goddamn life is being done wrong. Hello?
Yes.
A child. But this is what is happening, this is across the world, there is no exception. Wealthy countries, poor countries, whatever kind of countries, it's happening because human software will collapse slowly if we don't take care of certain things. This is why we did the Save Soil movement.
Before he talks about that one, man, I mean, you don't, let me say it this way, you don't really think about children doing this. Now, you do hear every once in a while, it makes sense that once to get to middle or high school age, I guess that's when, hormones really spike up, and that's when that can occur. But then when you look at as adults, I mean, it makes sense because not only that they have stress in life from, well, let's just say a single person, from their job, from their bills, from their parents, from their families, from their Yeah, well, let's leave it at that for now. And then when you have a partner, then from your partner, and then if you have children, then your partner and your children in the court, maybe if you're going through tough times. No, it's just it piles on. What do children have to do with like life? It's just they don't have bills. Of course, they do have parents. So there's that to do with that one. But everyone has parents, so that's a commonality between everyone, though. Generally speaking, of course, unless you're in adoption. But makes you wonder what they're going through. Again, if going through school, high school, and all that, I don't know. I don't. I'm wondering. When he said no exception. I do wonder if this is mostly happening in developed areas. I won't say developed countries because you can have an mostly underdeveloped country, but you could have like the capital being very well developed, and development grows out slowly. It's kind of like in my birth country where the capital city is very much like pretty modern, but the rest of the country is not really. And um, and I wouldn't doubt it has some of the same issues, and I do see some of the same kind of entitlement as well. Oh, I guess when I say issues, I mean all of that as well. Entitlement, just everything really.
Because when I saw in the month of January when COP26 happened in Glasgow, and I met a few of the environment ministers, and when I spoke to them, what have you done about soil? They said, what is soil, Sadhguru? What's wrong with soil? We're all talking about oil. I said, what? In the COP, there's no soil? No, we didn't even hear the word soil. Then in March, I started 100 days I rode a motorcycle from London to Kaveri, 30,000 kilometers in 100 days. And when this happened, we managed to touch 3.91 billion people, B. And people rose. Once people started speaking, the narrative changed. In COP27 in Egypt, we became official observers. In COP28, the soil became the main theme in many ways. They had an event there called Soil the Superstar. A non-existent soil became the superstar in 2 years' time. We are already working with Azerbaijan, which is the next host for COP29, where we will make soil the main theme. Now European Union declared if you address soil regeneration, 37% of climate mitigation can happen. I'm saying, where was it all this time? Because everybody wants to hit oil or whatever else fossil fuels because there is money in it. Soil, there is no money in it.
There is money in soil, obviously crops and all that, but I get what it's saying. Relatively speaking, oil is so much more money.
Nobody wants to talk about it. See, if you want to shift from I'm not saying we should not shift, we must shift. But if you want to shift from fossil fuels to whatever other things, technological innovations need to happen. Innovations in technology is not going to happen overnight. It may happen tomorrow, it may not happen in the next 20 years, we don't know. Hello? Nobody can time scientific development that in this many years we will produce this. There is no such thing. It may happen, it may not happen. But soil means agricultural soil we're talking about. This is one piece of the planet where human hand is tending to it on a daily basis.
Real quick, I wonder how we switch from people, to soil.
The land that human hand is upon, isn't that the first thing we should change? Hello?
Yes.
Our hands are on it, isn't that the first thing we can change? No, we don't want to change that because there are so many vested interests who want to push you away from that. So this is why it's important, at least if 60% of the population stands up and says, this matters. If all of you every day say something about safe soil, in whatever messages you send, whatever transactions you do, you keep saying it, then it becomes a policy matter, it becomes an election issue, then money is invested, then things will happen. Otherwise, you go and fix your kitchen garden, that's very cute, but that's not a solution. Solution is the world's agricultural policies need to change.
But I'll say this to that though, it's every individual country's responsibility for that. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on in the United States in terms of agriculture because again, I'm not in agriculture itself. I do know there's some issues in agriculture in the United States, mostly water. I hear like there's a state that's buying water from another state because one state's having issues with it, and then all of a sudden now the state that's selling the water, their people's having issues with water because of droughts and stuff. So it's kind of crazy. I do wonder what's causing that. Perhaps the population where there's just more and more people where the water itself was fine for the population at hand, but now that the population has grown, more and more people needs water, and it can't sustain that many people. Plus, also, it's like certain states grow certain products that are almost exclusive to the state, which requires a lot of water. So, save the water too. Now, but I think if I do wonder, like, I guess the United States has so much land that I don't think soil is an issue. I don't believe it's water for the plantation and stuff, the crops and whatever else they grow over there. Now, I wouldn't doubt there are still some soil issues somewhere, and I don't know where that would be though. I mean, that's mostly in. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot in the West. I think they grow almonds over there, and then some in the East, maybe even in the Midwest, as they say. Not sure.
You say that the pursuit of happiness is tearing this planet apart.
Isn't it? Everything that human beings are doing is in pursuit of their happiness. Can I tell you a little story?
Oh boy.
Go right ahead.
Shinkapilai?
This happened.
No.
There was a potato farmer. One day he felt like eating apples. So he went in search of an apple tree. He found one. Then, being a potato farmer, out of sheer habit, he started digging the ground for apples. When he found no apples, he became furious and dug furiously. After some time, slowly the tree came down upon him. That's what we're doing. Repeatedly I went through this. Human experience happens from within. Joy and misery happens from within, is it so? But you're digging up the whole damn planet to find happiness. Potato farmers, digging for apples. This is disastrous. So without a shift in consciousness, once people are empowered with technology and you tell them, don't use it, it's not going to work. You cannot stop, believe me.
Is it because I don't know, that story is kind of weird. I kind of understand, but I was hoping it has a little bit of a deeper meaning. Maybe I'm looking too deeply. Like, is he searching for happiness in the wrong place? He's digging in the soil where he thinks, where because of what he's familiar with, is potatoes, which grows underground. So he digs for apples underground because that's what he knows, but not realizing that apple grows on trees and not under the ground. So he's looking in the wrong spot. Maybe let me know if there's a deeper meaning that, unless it was just pretty straightforward that we are, I guess looking in the wrong place, maybe, or we're digging and we just let the tree hit us. We dug too deep.
Because with the technology that we have, We don't need 1 billion people to destroy. 10 people can destroy the planet. Hello?
Yeah.
You don't need the whole population to do it. Because somebody can build a palace which is 1 billion rooms. People have built 1,000 rooms, why can't they build 1 billion rooms? 100, 200 years ago, there are people who built 1,000 rooms in their house. Like ghosts, they are allowed to walk around, but still, they have 1,000 rooms because your competition had 500 rooms. If your competition goes on 80-foot wave…
50. 50-foot waves can do that.
So, this in pursuit of happiness. Happiness cannot be pursued. If you… like you said, you're always looking for things that you don't want. You're thinking, I should not be miserable, I should not be frustrated, I should not be depressed. If you just remove what you don't want, see, happiness is not something that you have to attain to. Even as a little child, you were joyful by your own nature, isn't it? Hello? When you are 6 years of age, somebody had to work hard to make you unhappy. Today, everybody has to work hard to make you happy. The whole equation. Everything turned around. What happened? See, at the age of 6, if you're so joyful, by the time you're 30, you should have been ecstatic. If you grew up, I'm saying. If the reverse happened, a retardation happened, isn't it? Your body grew, your brain grew, your capabilities grew, but your ability to live retarded. Those of you who have children, because she asked a question about children, if you have a child at home and you are there, between you and the child, who is more joyful? Who should be a consultant for life? Obviously. But the problem with adults is, the moment a child enters their life, they think they want to teach something. If a child comes, it's once again learning how to be alive, which you were also at one time. Now, you are acting like you're carrying the planet on your head. No. Hello, is it on your head? No. Nothing is on your head. Simply nonsense, because you don't know how to keep your head clean. Yes or no? Nothing has been done about it. Right from the kindergarten to wherever you have studied, it's all about how to conquer the world. You can call it science, you can call it technology, you can call it whatever, but look at the tone of everything. Everything is about how to conquer the world. There is nothing about how I should be. Nothing. Did you read anywhere in the textbook how as a human being you should be within yourself? No. Any method? No. So what will you produce? It's expected in another 15 years' time, 50% of the world's population could be diagnosed as mentally ill. Now when you say mental illness, don't think of only those people who are in an asylum or something. Shall I redefine mental illness for you, is it okay? Hello? If you're getting angry for 3 minutes a day, you are mentally ill. If you're getting angry once in 3 days, you're already on the way. Because you got angry with somebody just for 1 minute. They think you're mad anyway. Yes or no? So, just imagine, people around you, they have come to learn to live with mad people. What else to do? Not much choice, everybody seems to be in the same way.
Oh.
Can I tell you a story? This happened in Minnesota this year.
Actually, we'll pause it right there. We'll save the story for next time. So interesting. I'm kind of curious as to… I know Australia is a bit more… how do I say, strict in the United States in terms of a lot of their laws. And they have some really weird commercials that I watch. I'm not going to say what they are, but it's a bit troublesome, honestly, to some degree. And some of the things I heard about Australia as well. A bit weird. Again, I don't know how much of it's true. I wasn't there. I don't know the crime statistics and whatnot over there, so it's just things I've heard. But him talking about, was it 2050? 50% of the world population being mental illness. That's a very, I think that's probably slightly loosely defined. Because, 3 minutes, 3 minutes being mad every day. Maybe. Every day, 3 minutes. I wonder if I'm mentally ill. Trying to think. I don't usually get mad, and at least not every day. But anyways, like, that's pretty loose. That if that's true, like, 3 minutes every day and 50% of the world population, it's becoming more believable, especially with social media, and you see how people act on that, where they put up a face on social media of how they act while on camera and then how they act off camera. It's really weird. I remember there's this one YouTuber that I really liked. He does gaming and it's kind of funny too. But then when I heard this accusation on him, I didn't quite believe it. Obviously, you have to prove innocent until proven guilty in a lot of sense. But that didn't really sway me away from that person. But when a lot of other YouTubers talked about him, how this person acted, I'm like, that's not really the kind of person I kind of like to like. It's like they have a entitlement, kind of like, I guess you could say, God complex or whatever. They feel like they're important, and it's not exactly great. Not exactly a YouTuber I want to support. So I don't know. And now that's even getting more worse and worse with TikTok and I don't know, Instagram, I guess, and X or Twitter, YouTube. YouTube's always been there though. So, anyways, that's at least whatever this is, part 3 of Surfing the Waves of Life, Layne Beachley. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up the sign down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.